20 The Silver Bow Part 2. Velker did not have an easy task. The blacksmith of the sky had commissioned him a payment of blood and also an amount of silver extremely difficult to obtain in times like these, times of war and scarcity. The blood of 30 warriors was something that could not be taken lightly, but he must bring it to Volander as it was, otherwise all deaths in the war and his revenge would be cut short. Velker advanced with the excellence that characterized him and entered the Hall of the Silver Moons. Luckily they were all gathered there, and it could not be otherwise since they were losing the war and the clan leader had died. In the center of the room his father's body lay ready to be carried to the funeral pyre and burned until nothing remained of him. All the Silver Moons looked at him as he advanced across the hall benches to the front. The clan leaders were at the forefront, partly annoyed by his absence, but also by his interruption. The commander of the Silver Moons, who was in front of everyone next to his two captains, spoke to him as soon as Velker arrived next to the body of his father. "I hope you come to pay a worthy tribute to our leader, otherwise you are not welcome." The commander was an older man, grey-haired and with a beard of about 3 or 4 days, but strong. He did not seem to be the age he really was. "Enough has passed for you to bring conflict to this room. It seems they forgot who was the last to escape from the battlefield. It was my men who stayed by my side fighting while you fled like a troop of cowards." He looked at his father's lacerated face, pale and deformed from the blow of an axe that death had brought him. "I think that with my struggle I gave my father a more than worthy tribute. You do just what I warned you to do. Don't you realize that we are watching over your father?" Velker turned to his companions. "The best way to watch over my father is to win this war and fight to the end, not surrender as happened and flee in terror from the battlefield. Are we not the bravest warriors of the Minas?" The commander took a step forward trying to stop Velker, who was starting to inflame everyone present. "I order you to stop, that's enough. You have no right to intervene in this assembly." Velker turned to the commander and rebuked him without fear. You have no right to tell me anything. Since you ordered the withdrawal and abandoned my father on the battlefield, you least of all have the right to light the funeral pyre of my father." He approached him and with sparkling fury in his blue eyes he shouted again, but this time he also addressed the rest of the members of the Silver Moons. "I have the key to victory. The blacksmith of heaven will manufacture for us the best weapon that he has created since the beginning of time, a weapon that will make the gods themselves groan in terror, a weapon that will destroy the enemy and at the same time give justice to my father's name." The commander, clearly annoyed, rebuked him back. "You have no right to speak to me in that way. I made the decision that seemed best to me at the time. The battle was turning against us. I had to order the withdrawal or else not even you would be alive." "Save your words, treacherous snake. It seems to me that I hear the enemy through your mouth. It seems to me, I believe I hear in you the whisper of cowardice and fear." Those present began to side with Velker, especially because the blacksmith of heaven would manufacture a definitive weapon capable of make them win this war. "I have made Volander reforge for us." Everyone applauded and now cheered Velker for what he achieved. "It was not any of you," pointed to the commander and his captains. "No, it was Velker who did it, but not it has been free, my friends, my brothers, it was not free. I have already paid the price that the blacksmith of heaven has given me to begin with the work, a garment of divinity. I got it and I put it at his disposal. Now there is still one thing missing." He approached one of the offering bowls of his father. He poured out the water inside and the flowers that were in it to put it on the ground. and I will gladly pay the rest for this ultimate weapon that will give us victory once and for all," he sentenced with a firm voice and took out his dagger. Only to slide it through his left hand, instantly he began to spill his blood into the bowl. "I need the blood of 30 warriors. Who is with me? 30 brave warriors, the best 30 must give their blood in order to win." The commander of the Silver Moons was astonished to see that immediately a dozen of his men approached to give their blood with full conviction. While some gave their blood, the rest cheered Velker. The blonde warrior withdrew his hand from the bowl and turned to the commander and his captains. "You are not worthy of leading us, or even sharing our emblem." The shouts of those present came out of the Hall of the Silver Moons and spread by Erigmador. Velker drew his sword and pointed it at the commander and his captains. "In honor of my father, I will give you the opportunity to renounce your position, your emblem, your goods and lands, and leave never to return, otherwise we will complete the blood sacrifice with yours." The shouts of those present did not allow the accused to respond, but they were not going to leave without claiming. Their spirits were altered and their honor was injured. The commander advanced towards Velker, drawing his sword as well. "I can't believe how much you've done at your father's funeral. Don't even name him." She aimed the end of her sword at his commander's neck. The commander gestured for his captains to leave the room. Both captains advanced through the hall trying to leave it while the commander directed his sword towards Velker, the two swords subtly brushing, waiting for one of the two to take the initiative amid the incessant screams of those present who supported Velker. The captains, feeling that the commotion grew louder, hurried their stride towards the exit, but some men from the Silver Moons came out to drag them forward by force, and while Velker cornered the commander against the wall of the hall, the warriors of the Silver Moon took other bowls and slaughtered the captains without any shame. "With this we are going to pay for your cowardice on the battlefield." Velker plunged his sword into the commander's chest without mercy, and feeling the resistance that the muscles opposed to the edge of the sword, his face seemed to glow with satisfaction. "This is justice, it could not be otherwise." The commander spat out a bloody trickle of drool as his wild eyes searched for the wound that was dragging him hopelessly to death. "You will be the downfall of the Minas, just like your father." Velker ended up going through the commander's body from side to the guard of the sword. "From this defeat will be born the most glorious thing that the Minas have done." He pulled the sword from the commander's body with violence, spreading the floor of the hall with his blood. "No, you are worthy to pay the sacrifice with your blood." In a reflex gesture, the dying man put his hands to the wound, as if begging the gods to give him back the life that was escaping him. "You make a mistake," he said with the remaining energy that he had left. He choked on one last attempt at earnest supplication and futile plea. "Nobody cares, you pay with your life for your infamous cowardice." With a quick blow, the commander's body fell decapitated to the floor of the room. His head rolled a few times until crashing against the wall. It didn't take long for the blonde warrior and now commander of the Silver Moons to gather the blood of the 30 warriors and all the silver they had under their belt. While a group of his men lit his father's funeral pyre, he himself led the custody of the cart that carried all the elements requested by Volander for the manufacture of Gurdun the Silver Bow. After each step of his steed towards the house of the blacksmith, his conviction became more powerful and his ambition also. This was his revenge and he was not going to give it up even if it cost him the lives of all the Silver Moons, including his own.
If you like our work, do not forget to like it and subscribe to receive notifications of our next stories. If you want to support our editorial project, you can follow us on Patreon, where you will find our project in more details or support directly through Flow in the description links.